Hey everyone, welcome to Otaku Talk. It's me, your boy, your host, OD, and today we'll be reviewing and analyzing chapter 1070 of One Piece. Super hype chapter. There's gonna be a break next week. I heard that it's gonna be on and off, like breaks and then the chapter breaks and then the chapter. So, One Piece fans, we are in for a rough couple of months. So, hold on tight because the content is super high quality right now. So honestly, you got to take the good with the bad, right? Anyway, if you haven't been on this channel before or have been so already but haven't done so, please do me a solid. Like, share, subscribe would help your boy out. Anyway, without much further ado, let's get into this review.
頑張れそう頑張れ諦めないで口笛吹きさ歩き出そうよ Going now
All right, chapter 1070 of One Piece. This chapter was all that hype shit. So first of all, let's talk about the cover page real quick, the cover story. So before we got the ship of Mads, right? Now we actually get all the mad scientists front and center. And can I just say, I love this cover story. I love how they all look. They look like they're in a band or there's some like bandits or rebels or something. Kind of reminds me of like some Reservoir Dog type shit. I don't really know. But like I just love how they all look like just not even like scientists in this, just like almost like revolutionaries, right? Like just like dudes that just like guerrilla warfare kind of dudes. So that's really cool. For the longest time, I like could not recognize Queen. I was like, who is that on the left? Like he looks so familiar, but I cannot place it. And I was like, wait, I'm dumb. That's Queen. I was like, yo, Queen looked like a menace. Queen looks like that dude that was definitely in the Yakuza when they were younger and stuff like that. So that was really cool. He's holding a sword. Next to him, we have this like dweeby version of Caesar. And it honestly, I'm gonna say it looks like both of them before they got their devil fruits. We have my boy Dr. Vegapunk in the middle, locked and loaded, ready to go. His brain is not as big as it is the all the times we saw him in the actual manga. So you can tell like quite how early this is. And he has this like no nonsense look on his face. Also, I'm trying to remember right now because his eyebrows look so pronounced in this. And like I was like, does he even have eyebrows anymore? So that was interesting. And then we have Judge who like doesn't even really look like Sanji. Sanji definitely got his looks. His like siblings were blessed enough to get their looks and stuff from their mom. But yeah, like Judge looks like he's going through some stuff. And then you have a female scientist whose back is to us for whatever reason. Now, I just kind of assumed it was Stussy or Stussy, however you want to pronounce her name. I'm gonna go Stussy because that sounds cool. But no, I'm hearing that some people think it could have been Koreha. Some people are thinking it could have been that one chick that's going around saying she was Whitebeard's lover and has the kid with had a kid with him. So yeah, I have no clue. I just think it's Stussy. I think we're doing that thing where we go overboard, but hey, whatever. Let's just let it go. Anyway, the chapter starts with Luffy booking it over to Santomaru after he got sliced and diced by our boy Lucci. Now, Santomaru is not dead, he's still alive, but he is severely injured. Luffy's like, oh my god, I like should have warned you, I should have helped you. And Santomaru's like, dude, I like saw it. I just thought I blocked it in time, which just goes to show how powerful Rob Lucci currently is. Because last time we met Sentomaru, or we've seen Sentomaru in action, we were kind of told that, you know, he is like up there in levels of hockey, especially when it comes to defensive hockey. I think he was one of the first people we ever saw use Ryu along with the admirals and stuff like that, right? So just to see him, just to find out for him, not only did he see the attack coming, but he still wasn't able to block it while utilizing, you know, his great armament, really speaks volumes for how much more powerful Rob Lucci has grown. However, I'm very glad that the remainder of this chapter put to rest like the power scaling when it comes to them, because honestly, Rob Lucci could not touch man. So yeah, immediately Luffy uses this attack, gum gum, booming white. And I love translator notes in this type of situation because it tells us that it's pronounced white, but it's also the way it's written. It's also can be like pronounced dawn, like the sound effect dawn, like Tom from Water 7, where he's like, you have to do everything with the dawn. And we've heard this expression before in One Piece, right? So doing something with the dawn is to do something with like a big it's just like an exclamation of will, like just put your heart and effort into something. But also another really cool thing, and we know Oda likes to do this, is he's affiliating it with like dawn of a new era. So I'm thinking, that's maybe like why the whole reason like Luffy is white in the first place. Booming white, booming dawn, bring about the dawn. So like there's a lot going on here, and Oda's definitely doing it, like doing the wordplay. So anyway, he uses this uh uh booming whip, right? And he like completely whips his body around. It's like the Tasmanian devil, like the mask, right? And unintentionally he creates this kind of tornado vortex thing, right? Which he can't even control. So even during this fight, he's still getting a handle on his powers. Now, not gonna lie, still a little bit annoyed, still kind of like, you know, I kind of just really wanted him to just like get rid of Lucci on one half of my brain, but the other half is like I really do want to see a really cool fight by them again, right? So it's kind of like what we're dealing with at the moment. But we get to see, Luffy learn more how to use Gear Fifth, even though Luffy has never really been the type to like jump to his like latest form. Like he usually gradually builds up to it. So that was a little weird to me too. But anyway, I'm gonna stop harping over it. I'm gonna keep going. And he's spinning and spinning, and he cannot control himself. Chopper says that basically we need to get to the chopper. But no, he says we need to get to the rocket tube. But Luffy's like, I can't stop spinning, I can't control it. And something I found interesting about like Luffy during this fight is, one, this dude pretty much almost created like a tornado. Like, yes, it's him spinning, but it looks like he almost, if he wanted to, could create a tornado. And it looked almost for a second, like while I was watching this fight, like he was drilling himself into the ground almost, right? So anyway, he uses that hit and sends Lucci flying. While that's happening, we get to look over at the Seraphim, right? And we just see them handling business. The Mihawk Seraphim is just slicing through the competition. Seraphim S Shark is just hitting the ground with his swim fruit powers and causing ripples and stuff, and just completely messing up the CP0. And then you have Boa Hancock S Snake using her Mera beam and turning everyone to stone, which I'm not gonna lie, slightly problematic, only because like she's a kid. So it's like, her whole power operates under the fact that like people being like attracted to her. I don't know if it has to be sexually. Maybe because she's a kid, she can be cute, and that could be like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just a little bit like I can tell that there's gonna be a certain portion of the community that's gonna have problems with it. Me personally, I'm able to just like kind of get over it, but people are gonna be like, I don't know, Oda, this is sketchy. So yeah, we will see. Also, something I noticed when we see all of the Seraphim standing together is they seem really, really tall. Now, to be fair, the people that they're based off of are also massive. But that being said, I don't know. Like, these Seraphim are them at kids and are already really tall. So on top of being like Lunarian and having the, lineage factors of these individual, what's it called, Shichibukai, do they also no, I don't think they have giants blood in them. But honestly, that was interesting. It's something I thought about, right? So yeah, as they're just screwing over the CP0, you have Kaku and Stussy talking about just how amazing they are and how they don't even stand a chance against them, right? And so while this is happening, we get some exposition into, the Seraphim, how he did all this, right? And so Frankie's over there crying, bawling his eyes out, because you have to remember, Senior Pink is his boy. He's never met like a more hard-boiled dude than that. And, it is a scene that I'm looking forward to in the aftermath and the epilogue of this series, getting to see them, share a drink together, re-meet up and stuff. And so Frankie's crying because he's, from, his understanding, not two people who can hold the same devil fruit. So in his head, he immediately jumps to the fact that, Senior Pink is dead. And so like Vegapunk explains, no, Senior Pink is down and is over in Impel Down. He's not dead. Devil fruit abilities are really hard to make, and I was hoping we would get more in-depth information about how he makes them. We don't really learn anything about the Zoan ones, but he talks a little bit about how you know, he's been experimenting with all the devil fruits. Logia fruits, for whatever reason, are a lot harder to make. Kind of makes sense. You know, a lot of them are forces of nature. You know, where's the like, just how possible, like, how would it be possible at all, you know, to just extract the force of like lightning and magma and all this stuff from the lineage factors is like the headcanon I'm going with, right? He talks about how he made the Zoan fruits, but not specifically, so that kind of bothered me, and then kind of rebuked the means in which, you know, Caesar Clown went about making them, which to me is a little bit hypocritical because, you know, you were responsible for he's like criticizing, you know, Caesar Clown for going too far, right? But meanwhile, he's been making weapons and all sorts of things for the world government. He turned Kuma into a killing machine. Now, part of him, you know, chastising Caesar Clown here and like kind of showing that he has like morals and whatnot makes me think that okay, there's definitely some sort of backup or something to you know, Kuma's memory. But other than that, I don't know. It doesn't look like we can quite know, right? So, ugh. um, but yeah, we're told that he was able to synthesize a blood additive using the blood of the lineage factor, in fact, the DNA of the Shichibukai, and then he was able to add it to something else he created called green blood. So if you saw in my other reviews, I always highlighted that there are these parts of like liquid on the seraphim, and I was like, are they not fully yet completed, blah blah blah. But we now understand that it's, well, we still don't even understand. We just know that we can see the green blood through it. My question is, why did he make it see through? Like, does he just want us to flex that like they're not human? Is there like a little, like, you know, like a gas tank thing where, you know, whenever he needs to like does he need to re-inject them with green blood? How long does it last? Things like that are running through my head. So very, very curious, but that is an amazing idea. I'm wondering if all of the seraphim have devil fruit abilities. Like, I read a comment that honestly blew my mind. That was like, what if Mihawk had the dice fruit, right? The one that lets you turn your body to steel. And I was like, ah, oh, that seems cool, but also a little bit like redundant, repetitive. You know, seeing as to how, you know, Mihawk has his whole sword, and like I could only see the dice fruit being used if he were to lose his sword. But I kind of, it's kind of like he would have to do something unbecoming of himself to do something cool. Like, I can't imagine like the most legendary swordsman ever letting go or losing his sword, even if it's just a chibi version of him. But yeah, anyway, um, not to toot his own horn, but it's basically established that Vegapunk may have created, single-handedly created one of the most powerful beings on the world, right? And I also was very interested in the use of the term beings because they explained that humans is different, and so they wanted beings to be more like, you know, encompassing, right? So we're trying to figure out at this moment like what exactly are the seraphim. Are they androids? Are they cyborgs? Are they more biological? Are they more mechanical? I'm very, very interested in this. You know, Boa Hancock seems to have a bit of a personality because once she leads them to the rocket ship, I believe Jimbei, you know, thanks her, and she's like pulls on this like Sundir personality, and she's like, "Oh, I was just following orders," type stuff, right? Also, I thought it was kind of crazy how like as soon as she does that, like they like go back over and join the CB0. That was weird to me, but yeah, I really, really don't know how this whole control chip thing is going to play out because let's be real here. It does make sense because we do get this kind of idea that Vegapunk is really, really, really naive. I don't know why. He's naive as hell for whatever reason. Like, he has all these grandiose ideas and just wants to do things in the name of science and doesn't really think about the ramifications too much, in my opinion. Kind of once again parallels with like Tom, where like it's not about like what you build, it's like, you know, how people, what you build isn't good or bad, it's what people use it for, right? That kind of deal. But still, it's just a little to me, and because like basically I believe it's Usopp that's the one, or it's either Usopp or Nami that basically go like, do you realize what you've done? You've created like these amazing like beings that are like Lunari and have like DNA of the greatest like Shichibukai. On top of that, whoops, my phone went off, my bad. The greatest Shichibukai, these amazing devil fruits, and like maybe there's a bit of gigantism in them. So like, yeah, man. If they go out to do something, Vegapunk is responsible, and I just think it would be super stupid if he didn't put some sort of fail safe in there. If maybe like the rest of them, like the rest of like the Gorosei and the CB0 can't give verbal orders, they have to be there in person. But maybe Vegapunk has a way he can, relay orders. Or personally, I think it would be super cool if simply the Seraphim were kind of officially like living creatures. Like that wasn't their intention. It's kind of like a Pinocchio type thing. We found out in One Piece that like inanimate objects can have souls. We know swords have souls. We know zoan fruits have wills and souls and stuff like that. We know that inanimate like the Going Merry had a soul. Stuff like that, right? So would it be so crazy that these like humanoid things could develop souls? Because one thing that rubbed me the wrong way when he said they made the most powerful beings, I was like, can something truly be the most powerful without like hockey, without willpower? We've been told time and time and again throughout this series that like hockey is the end all be all. A lot of people really hated the introduction of hockey, thought it was lazy writing, thought Oda should have figured out a way to make all these fights and to make Logia as tangible. And I'm just gonna be real with you, I just don't think it would have been that great. There would have been really a lot. There would have been some really really cool ingenious ideas, but also I truly just think there would have been a lot of ass pulls and stuff to just kind of get things to work. And I do like that hockey goes side and side with the theme of the series, which is like willpower and determination and drive, right? So I have no qualms with that. So like once again, if they're not actual beings who just follow orders and stuff like that, they're just gonna be subjected to their will. But time and time again throughout the chapters, well, not throughout the chapters, but mainly we saw with the sea beasts through Lilith that they succumb to their lineage factor. I feel like Kuma is on the way here right now because of his lineage factor, because of himself. There's just something inherent in their like DNA that will compel them. So I'm really hoping we get a scene where like they're told to do something that they're just vehemently against, and things simply don't work out for the Marines. So we go back to the fight between Luffy and Lucci, and it is really, really popping off. So we have Lucci use Shave to Soru in basically, and then Luffy basically gigantifies his head and tries to eat Lucci, similar to like how Kaido tried to eat him. And Lucci, fast as he is able to kind of sprint out of it. Almost thought he got eaten for a second, but then I saw real quick in that picture he got out, and Luffy just face first smashes into all this debris and just gravel and stuff and starts eating it, right? And then immediately starts spitting it out like bullets out at Lucci, right? Then after that, he proceeds to like off the top rope WWE style go between this like pipe or something, turn it into rubber, and uses it to propel himself forward, to use Gum Gum Blooming White Rocket, right? And something that, like, not to lie, that cool, the move was super cool. And also something that I found to be amazing is that while he was doing that, he took the clouds from his head and to put them on his goggles, and they weren't just like cloud goggles, they turned into actual goggles. And the ramifications of this are honestly freaking insane to me, because first of all, one, at this point, why does Luffy even need to launch himself off this like pipe like a spring? Because at this point, now that like, especially, I was thinking about it before, but especially now that we saw that he can fabricate items, What? So now that we see that, what's to say, why can't he sprout wings, bro? Why can't he just sprout wings from his back and start flying around? Personally, part of me thought that like part of his power should be able to apply to the air so that he could make it springy, similar to that one dude from the one magician dude from My Hero Academia. I thought about this way before this guy, by the way, but I think it's a great pop cultural reference so you guys can understand who I'm talking about. The love magician who had that one assistant. I'm sorry, I should know their names. I don't, sue me. But yeah, I thought he would be able to like move in the air by propel, like making the air bouncy and bouncing off. But honestly, this opens up so many doors, because honestly, he hasn't really experimented with this. He was able to essentially make a cyclone. He can He can fabricate like that. I'm not getting over that. I'm not getting over that anytime soon. He can fabricate items. He made goggles, and they weren't just clouds. They literally turned into like full form, functional, like different colored goggles. That was insane to me. So like literally this is the most ridiculous fruit in the world, and there seems to be no bounds to it, and the more and more Luffy gets used to it, the more and more powerful he stands to be. Then after that, he hits Lucci with, what was the name of that attack? He hits him right in the oh no, yeah, the rocket is what hits him, and we see something similar to when he was fighting Kaido, where his body just completely elongates and moves back. Honestly, I do think it's kind of cool. It's a little bit cooler now, but still my brain cannot get over wrapping around the whole concept of, okay, how much damage exactly does this do? Because like that's always like about me. Like, do they absorb the rubber properties itself, therefore like kind of taking away some of the pain, or do they just completely take the amount of pain it was, but it just like we get now a more drastic look at what's happening to them. So anyway, that punch, that rocket was way too much for Rob Lucci. He can't fight anymore. I didn't realize this, but a comment said basically he says the same thing from when Luffy Gear 4 punched him. He says the same thing from this hit. He basically can't take it now. I don't think he's severely injured. I think it's one of those things where he's gonna have to catch his breath after a while. But honestly, it was a great way to establish that Lucci is nowhere on Luffy's level. No part of that fight did Luffy struggle. Do I feel like he took less damage than he did the first time they fought? Absolutely, but the fight was short, and it kind of reminds me of something that like I was reading in this light novel, where like when you get to like fights among like the elite, they need to be handled decisively, right? And so I know that's weird because a lot of the elite in the series have fought for like days and stuff. But honestly, more so than not, I think we're gonna get these fights where, unless it's the peak, they're gonna have these really quick, definitive ends, especially with how strong Luffy has become now. So, like I said, Luffy gets into the rocket shuttle, and the next panel we see, he's reverted back to like old life energy deprived Luffy mode. Honestly, before he went awakening in Gear 5 and stuff, I had this huge theory that Gear 5 was gonna be, really, really heavily related to Samai Kikan. And I was kind of hoping because Rob Lucci was back for this story that they were going to mention that, right? And for those of you who don't remember Samai Kikan, or as Chopper says, it reminds him of biofeedback. It allows people to perfectly like control their bodies, right? And their life energy. And it's why the dude on the puffing Tom or whatever was able to fight with his hair and his hair and his nostrils and stuff, and why Lucci was able to turn into those different forms of his like hybrid form, like the one built for speed and the one built for power and stuff, by like alternating his mass and his life energy and stuff. I thought that's what we were gonna get with Luffy, where Luffy, originally could only like snap forward and snap back like rubber does, but he was going to be able to absolutely like really control his body, control how it lengthened and shortened, and maybe not even like things straightforward. Like maybe he could make like spikes pop out like anywhere on his arm, and that's what I thought we were going. Like that's where I thought we were going with it, right? And I thought that Gear 3 and Statement and stuff were just like finite applications of that. Like that's why he was able to like pump his own arm and able to like infinitely stretch his arm and stuff. I thought that's what we were building up to, right? So I think like all things in One Piece, it's something that's connected. Kind of like how Rukushiki isn't hockey, but I assume there is some form of connection with it to hockey. And then there's just like so much in the world of One Piece that's called one thing, how hockey was called mantra for a time. I think we're gonna find out like that Samai Kikan is something really important. Like I said in one of my videos way, way, way back, the whole gag where like drinking milk kills their teeth. I feel like that could be related to Samai Kikan too, right? So I digress, but Luffy does have this weakness of going into the old form, and at this point I'm still not positive. A lot of people think it's only when he tries to gigantify. I think it might be while he's trying to gigantify, or just he uses Gear 5 in general. We don't know, but every time we have seen him go in that old form, it is following typically after him using some form of gigantification. So anyway, the Straw Hats get away. Lucci and the rest of CP0 are talking about it, and like, dang, Vegapunk couldn't have asked for a better bodyguard. Setsumaro did his thing. I'm not sure if he's dead. Let's hope not. Honestly, all Lucci talked about was he had to be unconscious, not dead. Also, like I said before, I don't know how that would go over with his uncle Kizaru. So there's that whole aspect of things as well, right? And so while they're talking, Vegapunk is completely fortifying, going into like lockdown battle, everyone to your stations mode on the lavosphere. They even increased the what's it called, power of the frontier dome. I didn't notice this. Again, comments are out here to save the day that apparently throughout the chapters the level has been increasing. I think originally when we see it's at 60 something, and then when Kaku tries to breach it's at 70. Now it's at 99. So they crank that baby all the way up. And I'm very, very interested if the max is 100 or like 999, right? So that would be really, really interesting. We're going to get a moment where we're going to get to find out just how strong the Marines, CB0, and like the Admirals are, because honestly, this is going to be a case of like how much of a genius is Vegapunk, and just simply how strong are, like Kizaru and the other people that are going to have to try to breach them to get there. Because honestly, they can't hide behind Egghead forever, simply because like the whole goal is for them to leave, correct? So if they have to leave, being boxed in isn't really conducive to that. I also am preparing myself. I don't know if this is the route Oda will go, but I am preparing myself for Vegapunk to potentially die. To be honest, he still has his satellites and he still has his brain, and as long as those remain and his dream can still, come true, we'll see what happens. Also, if he does die, does his brain go away? Do the satellites all die? So that's something I'm really, really looking forward to like seeing and finding out as well. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter. After that, the Straw Hat crew are really like, once they like see everything that's going on, they're like, wow, they're really, really out here trying to kill you. And they're like, what a waste of a valuable resource. But like Vegapunk explained earlier, when it comes to protecting the secrets of the Void Century and keeping everyone in the dark about the ancient civilization, it's just Vegapunk is a liability at this time, and he's served his purpose. Does he have a lot of things he could contribute to humanity? Yes, but did he already contribute the most important thing for the world government, which is a tool to suppress and subjugate humanity? Yeah, so like that's all they really need from him. They don't need this internet. They don't need people to have information. Like one of the things I really thought was super cool about Vegapunk wanting to essentially establish the internet was what One Piece is such a world where it has disjointed information. People in one sea have no clue about what's going on in another sea. There are people that have never seen a devil fruit in their entire lives and think of them as myths. There are people that thought, Skypiea was fake. There are people that thought all these rumors and lores that we've actually gotten to see and experience with the Straw Hats for the first time, like mermen themselves. We're finding out a real. So like the lack of information and being able to spread it and stuff like that, and like the only people who can get that information, which are like sailors and pirates being labeled as public enemies, is quite a problem for the world government. So I found that to be exceptionally interesting. But anyway, all the Seraphim are now allied with the CP0 because they have the command chip. Santumaru is down. Once again, if Vegapunk doesn't have some way to switch them over, that's going to be kind of silly to me, but kind of checks out. On top of that, they're probably loyal to their original personalities, and may, once push comes to shove, forced to act outside of their own wants and desires, may snap out of it, right? So anyway, Doribani's after Vegapunk. She wants to order him to change her dad back. Kuma's on his way. We have the CP0 backed by the Seraphim, trying to figure out how to breach the Frontier Dome while they're waiting for the Marines. And then we see Kizaru, who's demanding a armada of ships. Honestly, between me and you, I'm calling a Buster call. It seems like we are about to have a Buster call, and I'm very, very curious what's gonna stand out. Vegapunk's bunker of science or the might of the Marines. Also, you got to remember, what's called that G1, G5 base is right there. So there's a lot of Marines really close by because this is a government island. Maybe, you know, Helmeppo and other people are going to show up and try to beg Luffy to save Kobe and give that information. I'm hearing people want the Straw Hat Fleet to show up. I don't know how they would get here. I don't think that how they would get the information, but there is a lot in motion right now, and I'm excited for it. Anyway, this has been Otaku Talk. I'm your host, OD. Thank you guys for watching, and please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have a happy holiday. Have Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Take care. Peace. Probably see you guys next year.